You know, the neighborhood of Butyl Terraces, where I moved into my Uncle Dale's place, who had passed away in the 90s of Hep C, and left the house to my mother, who rented it out, but then I dropped out of college and needed a place to stay. They gave the people a year's notice, and eventually I moved in 2013. But that neighborhood goes, there's 8 streets. Alpha, Bonnie, Cary, Derby, El Dorado, where I live, and then Flamingo, Granville. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But then there's another side street off Granville, the last street in the neighborhood that's Reading. So the 8th is Reading. And I believe that's where the story they hit me with and dream I had of Rhino Head actually comes from. So what's your whole statement with Rhino Head in 214 and the dream I saw? You know, it looks like, 210s was across the street on the corner of Granville, El Dorado, and 213 is on the corner of Granville and El Dorado on the other side. And then there's no 214. Because next to 213 is 215, but then across the street next to 210 is, there's a big space there missing, where it looks like the house of 214 is missing from, but it's not. And because then it goes 216 and on. But they put 214 on Granville to the right of 213. Okay, so I guess with that whole Rhino Head story, they said not genius on it. I don't know if they were talking about the architects, because that was the first time I noticed the 214 wasn't there. With that whole Rhino Head dream state, where, they had the scene, the dream state they hit me with, where, it looked like I was looking at the property where there's that space that there could be a house. And there was a house there. And then they showed the image of a female walking up to her house from her car. And then right when she's going to open the door, the Rhino Head, like Minotaur Rhino Head, ran from the other side and like shoved her in the door. And then the door like shut behind them. And then the whole house like went up and disappeared. And then that was the end of the dream. So it seemed like some not Valentine's Day like nightmare with this rhino-headed monster Minotaur is raping this female in this house that has went to hell. But in fact, that house was not there. It was 214 is on Granville. So it must be a not genius statement they hit me with tricking me about that story. So, and by the way, the rhino on my Existal Designs character chart is IB gray, regular rainbow orange. Okay, where I see gray, regular rainbow yellow is the elephant. And IA is the mouse. Regular rainbow
or gray regular rainbow red.